What if your fresh start in a quiet little town became your worst nightmare? 825 Forest Road, 2025 is a supernatural horror film written and directed by Stephen Cognetti. It follows a family that moves into a seemingly peaceful town only to uncover the town is haunted. With an IMDb rating of 5 stars out of 10, this eerie tale explores isolation, secrets, and the evil that refuses to stay buried. Before we dive into the creepy details, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more spine-tingling recaps. All right, turn down the lights. It's time to meet 825 Forest Road. The film opens with Ashley Video calling her friend Natalie. They talk about a mysterious book called Ashland Falls, named after their town. Suddenly, someone knocks on Ashley's door. She hides the book and tells them to come in, but Natalie is confused. Ashley had said she was home alone. Ashley checks the door and finds no one there. After searching the house and finding nothing, she returns to her room. Then there's another knock. This time, it scares her, and the scene cuts. In the next scene, Chuck, his wife Maria, and his sister Isabella move into a house in Ashland Falls. Their agent Bonnie says the house is twice as big as the last one, but the same price because it sat unsold for 3 years. When Isabella arrives, Bonnie congratulates her on her scholarship. Chuck mentions the house has space for her art and asks if she still does it, which upsets her. Maria reminds him that Isabella earned her scholarship through her art. This story is told in chapters, with each chapter showing the same story from a different person's point of view. Chapter 1. Chuck. Chuck's part of the story starts here. Chuck calls the agent Bonnie to complain about a roof leak after last night's storm, saying the roof was listed as new. He sends her a photo of the damage. Then he enters Maria's studio, where she's filming a video about sewing clothes, and he also comments that he doesn't like her mannequin, Martha. Maria says it's special to her. It's the last piece from her old studio in New York. Outside, Chuck meets his neighbor, Larry. While talking, Chuck mentions the roof leaking and says he's hoping to take action or get compensation against the previous owners because the roof was listed as new. But Larry, looking confused, says the previous owner killed himself, which surprises Chuck. Later, Chuck reviews the photo he took of the roof damage and notices a gun in the image, something that wasn't there when he captured it. The next day, Chuck finds the mannequin, Martha, outside, though no one moved it. As he goes to get it, neighbor Larry appears and asks about Bella's mental health. He mentions Maria said Chuck and Bella's mom died in a car crash. Larry then warns that many in town have struggled with depression and suggests Chuck visit the library to learn more about town's history. Later, Chuck visits the library and sees a stack of books on the floor that wasn't there earlier when he passed by. Then, Ashley, the woman from the beginning of the movie, is there, crying. She tells Chuck to just put the books back and leave town, but he ignores her. At the checkout counter, the librarian, Molly, asks if Chuck is looking for Forest Road, which confuses him. She explains that people who check out those old archive books often think they'll find Forest Road, but no one ever does. Chuck has no idea what she's talking about. Then Chuck mentions the stack of books left in the middle of the aisle. Hearing this, Molly looks scared. As Chuck leaves the library, he sees a pamphlet on the notice board about a group called Friends of Gardening. At home, Chuck starts reading a book called A Brief History of Ashland Falls. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. When Chuck opens the door, he sees a woman named Olivia who has come for her first piano lesson. She's a beginner, but while Chuck gets water, he hears perfect piano playing.
There's a woman at the piano.
A woman?
When Chuck checks, no one is there. Olivia gets scared and runs away. The next day, Chuck visits the Friends of Gardening Club and sees Larry there. Chuck says Maria is out of town, so he decided to come by and see what the club is about. Larry says the meetings are about a topic most townspeople avoid. Then Larry asks Chuck, "Did you see her?" Chuck, confused, asks, "See who?" Larry doesn't answer and just tells Chuck to join the meeting. The meeting starts. Chuck introduces himself. A man named Terrence says, "You must be wondering what these meetings are about." They explain that everyone in the group was affected by her. Some lost loved ones because of her. Others were haunted by her, either through bad dreams or terrifying events. They also talk about Ashley, who took her own life just yesterday, and how she was affected. One man says Ashley should have left town after it started, but another says it wouldn't have mattered. It spreads like an infection. Then Chuck speaks up. He says he doesn't know much about the town and asks, "Who are you all talking about? Who is her that you keep mentioning?" Terrence says the woman they are talking about is Helen Foster. She used to live at 825 Forest Road back in the 1940s. He says Helen killed herself and has been haunting the town for many years. Someone in the group says the only way to stop Helen is to destroy the house at 825 Forest Road, but others argue that Forest Road doesn't even exist anymore. That's why no one can find it. Some still believe the road was real once. Suddenly, Larry senses that the door is open. He goes to check and sees Helen's ghost, so the group quickly ends the meeting. As Chuck leaves, he notices a small chapel near the building. And that's how Chapter 1 ends. Chapter 2, Isabella. This chapter shows the same story timeline from Isabella's point of view. The story begins with Isabella entering the house for the first time. As she looks around, Helen's ghost appears behind her, but Bella doesn't see it. In a voiceover, Bella says moving in with Chuck and Maria was a mistake. Chuck is busy teaching piano and Maria is focused on her store and live streams. Bella has been having vivid dreams about their mother since they moved in. Later, Chuck hears her talking and asks about it, but Bella says she was recording a journal on her therapist's advice. Then Chuck finds an old drawing Bella made of a house that looks like theirs. She says she drew it 3 years ago. Another drawing shows a woman with a shadowy hand behind her, which Bella says she drew after Chuck left her and their mom. This reveals that Chuck left both his mother and sister in the past to pursue a better life. The next day, Bella wakes up and hears Chuck talking to Maria about the mannequin, Martha, being outside. Bella notices scratches on the door and asks Maria what happened. Maria tells her that they found Martha outside and thought Bella was the one who moved it, but Bella says she didn't do it. In the next scene, Chuck comes home from the Friends of Gardening Club. Bella tells him that Maria is out of town and asks why he ignored her calls. Then Bella says a girl named Ashley killed herself yesterday and that everything in this town feels strange. Chuck tells her to stop blaming herself for their mom's death, reminding her it was a car accident and she was the one driving. Bella says she lost her mom and adds that Chuck never even told Maria he had a sister. Then Bella walks away. The next day, Bella's school friend Luke visits. Bella says Chuck went to a Friends of Gardening meeting and asks Luke what those meetings are about. Luke says the town is rumored to be haunted. He shares a story about a man who hanged himself in the library using a stack of books, which still appears to others in the same spot. Then Maria enters and asks if Bella was in her studio, but Bella denies it. After Maria leaves, Bella asks Luke what's behind the hauntings. Luke explains they're tied to Helen Foster, whose daughter was badly bullied. Helen tried to get help by writing letters to the school and the bully's family, but nothing changed. After her daughter died by suicide, Helen lost her job and home. In grief and rage, she murdered the bully and their parents, then later killed herself. Bella asks if anyone ever tried to find Helen's house. Luke says the address, 825 Forest Road, doesn't appear on any current maps. It only shows up on a 1940s map that was sealed by court order in the 1950s. In the 1980s, the town council planned to reveal the location, but during the council meeting, the council chamber was locked from the inside. People looking in saw the council members and just one lone woman in the audience, Helen Foster. One day, Bella and Maria visit an art gallery. Maria reveals she had a sister, but they weren't close. She also shares that she has bipolar disorder and takes medication for it. She says Chuck is very supportive, but he doesn't really understand mental health issues. Suddenly, people panic when Helen's ghost appears in one of the artworks. The gallery staff then announce they are closing early. At home, while Bella is sleeping, she notices the light in her closet turns on by itself. She takes out the bulb, places it on her nightstand, and goes back to sleep. The closet light turns on again, even though there's no bulb in it. Suddenly, Bella wakes up from the dream and sees the light bulb still on her nightstand, which scares her. Later, Bella tells Luke that she wants to find 825 Forest Road. She asks for his help, but he refuses to get involved. He says that Ashley and her friend Natalie found Forest Road, and after that, strange things started happening to Ashley before she took her own life. Soon, Chuck calls Bella and asks her to come home. After Bella gets home, she sees Maria looking upset. Chuck tells Bella to start packing and says he'll be back soon. Bella asks if he's going to look for Helen Foster's house, but Chuck doesn't answer and leaves. When Maria hears Helen's name, she looks confused. Later, while Bella is packing her clothes, Luke shows up. Bella tells him she's moving back to campus. Suddenly, Luke sees a photo of Bella's mom and says he just saw her downstairs. Terrified, Bella tells Luke that her mom died in a car accident a few months ago. Suddenly, they hear a noise downstairs. When they go to check, no one is there. Frightened, Luke quickly leaves. Then Bella hears her mother's voice calling her.
Isabella, it's Mommy.
Maria tries to stop her, but Bella follows the voice. Suddenly, Helen's ghost appears and attacks. Bella and Maria try to escape, but the front door is locked. They run into separate rooms to hide. Moments later, Bella hears Maria scream, and the chapter ends. Chapter 3, Maria. This chapter shows the same story timeline from Maria's point of view. The story begins with Chuck and Maria buying the house. A few days later, they sit in the car outside the library, talking about Bella. Maria says the first months of therapy will be tough, and shares that she went through something similar at Bella's age. But Chuck disagrees, saying Maria had a medical condition treated with medication, while therapy is just a scam. Maria gets upset, reminding him that Bella was driving when their mom died and that trauma can't be dismissed. She tells Chuck to be more understanding and to keep his opinions to himself. In the next scene, Maria is on a call with her sister. She talks about how the town feels very different from the city, and she's having a hard time getting used to it. After the call, Maria takes her medicine and goes downstairs. As she walks down, we see Helen silently watching her. Downstairs, Chuck is reading a book about Ashland Falls. He tells Maria that in 1953, the town suddenly changed all the street names and redrew its borders. He also says their house used to be called 15 Rose Lane. While they're talking, Maria walks into the kitchen and sees dishes stacked up with a note that says, "They won't put themselves away." She thinks Bella left the note and tells Chuck to ask Bella to clean up the kitchen. Then, Maria leaves to go out of town. As Maria leaves, she hears the news about Ashley's death on the car radio. At the same time, Helen's ghost is seen watching her. Later, Maria is doing a live stream. She goes to her room for a short time, but when she returns to the studio, she sees that the mannequin, Martha, has changed positions. Surprised, she goes to ask Bella if she came into the studio, but Bella says she didn't. Maria, still uneasy, returns to her live stream and tries to continue as normal. Later, Maria looks at the mannequin again, still confused about how Martha moved earlier. Her medicine timer goes off, but she decides not to take it. In the next scene, Maria and Bella are coming back from the art gallery. Maria talks to Chuck about Bella. She says she doesn't really know how Bella is doing since she only found out about her 3 months ago. Chuck says he and Bella lived together for 10 years, but now she feels more like a stranger than a sister. A few days later, Maria is doing a live stream, and we see the mannequin, Martha, move on its own. Maria's sister, Allison, calls her, but Maria doesn't answer. Maria says her sister Allie watches her live streams and probably wants to talk about bridesmaids' dresses, so Maria gets up to show the dresses on camera. Suddenly, the mannequin Martha turns toward Maria. Then Maria gets a strange message saying, "Get out of the house," which confuses her. She looks around and sees the mannequin is gone. Maria hears a noise and sees the mannequin moving again, turning to face her. Scared, Maria runs away. Later, Chuck and Maria decide to burn the mannequin. Maria blames Chuck for everything, saying it's his fault they moved to this town. Later, while Luke and Bella are upstairs, Maria goes to the kitchen and sees bowls stacked with a note saying, "Hello, Maria." Suddenly, Helen's ghost appears behind her,
I know you're there, Maria.
calling out to Bella in her mother's voice. Both Maria and Bella get scared and run to their rooms. While Maria hides in her room, suddenly, afterwards, Maria finds Bella and hugs her tightly. Maria looks pale and her nose starts bleeding. The chapter ends there. And then, final chapter 4, Forest Road. The scene begins with Maria resting with Chuck sitting beside her. Then Luke visits and explains how Ashley found Forest Road. He says that in 1953, the town changed all street names and borders but forgot to hide the old power grid, which can help locate Forest Road. Chuck and Bella decide to search for it. Suddenly, Bonnie arrives to film a testimonial, but Chuck says it's not a good time. Unexpectedly, Maria appears and insists on filming, surprising Chuck since she wasn't well before. She tells Chuck to go find Forest Road, even though no one told her about it. Bella asks Luke to stay with Maria, and he agrees as Chuck and Bella leave. While filming, Maria talks about her daughter, who was bullied and died. Luke asks her daughter's name, and as Maria says Mary, Helen's ghost suddenly appears and attacks, killing them. In another scene, Chuck stops the car near the forest because the road is closed, so they continue on foot. After walking for a while, they find a house. Inside, he discovers letters Helen wrote to the parents of the kids who bullied her daughter Mary. Then comes a twist. The house on Forest Road isn't Helen's house. It belonged to the Clark family, whose son bullied Mary. Helen's real house is actually 15 Rose Lane, the one Chuck's family lives in. Chuck quickly calls Bella and sees her standing near a door with a ghostly hand on her shoulder, just like in the drawing Bella made years ago. He runs to help her, but as he reaches her, both he and Bella are pulled into the room. The door slams shut, hinting that they were both killed. The movie ends. And that was 825 Forest Road, a twisted tale of buried secrets, broken families, and a vengeful spirit that refuses to fade. Helen Foster's legacy isn't just a ghost story. It's a curse that spreads like a shadow through every corner of Ashland Falls. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie recaps. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and stay away from Forest Road.